Hyperstimulation. This is the plague of the 21st century. Every app promising you the time of your life, every reel crafted to grab your attention, video games promising an everlasting state of bliss, every movie, every song, every comic just drenched with hypersexuality. Back when I was a teen, my mind was a roller coaster. Focus? Well, that was non-existent. Motivation, you ask? It was nowhere to be found. I was this way not because there was something physically wrong with me. I was this way because I was hyperstimulated. But then one day a realization hit me. The price of hyperstimulation is that you end up enjoying nothing. I know, ironic, right? I used to be the kid who would enjoy doing math, playing outside, learning about science and stuff, but now even the thought of opening a textbook was unbearable. I just didn't want to do anything even remotely uncomfortable. And deep down, my soul told me that this wasn't it, This wasn't how God intended His creation to exist. Just numbed out of His mind, floating through life like a zombie, incapable of making a positive contribution to the people around Him. And that is when my journey to win back control of myself began. Not to brag, but I think I've made some progress, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the tools and techniques I use to destimulate my own mind. Back when I was a teen, I thought that anytime I got bored, I needed to just eliminate that feeling of boredom by scrolling or playing video games. Boredom was shown to be as this public enemy number one, and just how getting the right streaming subscription could help you get rid of it. It is only now that I've realized that when you eliminate boredom with cheap sources of dopamine, you just multiply future boredom. And then that cheap source of dopamine becomes a crutch that you forever depend on. In some sense, the cause of the boredom that you face today might just be the things that you use to get rid of it. I have now decided to embrace a boring life. My phone is put on flight mode for the first 4 to 5 hours of the day. I've removed all short form content apps from my phone, and I've made a deal with myself to only spend 1 hour a day or less watching movies, and I only do that towards the end of the day. This now forces me to handle my boredom very differently. The only source of fun that I'm now left with are things like doing martial arts or lifting weights at the gym, going for a walk outside, reading a couple of pages of a book, or learning a new skill. And I'm going to be honest with you, the first couple of days of my boring life, they were kind of rough, but they were also just as beautiful. For once I felt present, I had a clear mind, I didn't feel guilty, my anxiety was lower, and I just felt this little ray of happiness. Now fast forward to living this so-called boring life for a couple of months, something profound started happening. I stopped feeling bored at all. I started finding life fun, and I had this spring in my step. I would enjoy watching the sunrise in the morning. I appreciated the color of the sky more. People started sounding more interesting to listen to. And best of all, I finally started enjoying academics, something which I had lost my passion for. Ironically, all this happened because I embraced boredom and stopped viewing it as a bad thing. I rejected the offer made by video games and subscription services. Before I began this journey to destimulate my life, I sat down and journaled about the kind of person that I am currently and the kind of person that I would like to become someday. So for the person I currently was, I was just brutally honest with myself and wrote down a page of how I was messing up my life and all that I was doing wrong, and what would happen if I continued doing these things for the next 5 to 10 years of my life. Once I was done with this journal entry, I had basically watched a horror movie about the declining trajectory of my life, and that was quite a wake-up call. It was an uncomfortable moment, but highly necessary. It made me stop viewing instant gratification as a desirable thing, but rather made me view it as micro doses of poison that are going to sabotage me. For the second journal entry, I wrote down about the kind of man that I wanted to be. I wrote these points back when I was still a teenager learning about life. The journal entry was something like, I want to be a master of my own mind. I don't want to be a slave to anything else. I want a good physique. I want to be strong and just be hard to kill. I wanted to be a successful entrepreneur, be rich, be the kind of man that people respected. And yeah, I wanted to be attractive to women. Now granted, looking back at these points, some of them are quite superficial. And as I have matured, I want to be a very different man. More like a man who is God's favorite, someone who really takes care of his family and is a pillar of his community. However, that was my why or sense of meaning back then. And no matter how superficial and materialistic it sounds now, it really did light up a fire in me back then and just give me that extra bit of a push to quit instant gratification. So I want you to do the same exercise for yourself. Write down about who you are currently and who do you wish to be. This exercise will actually make it obvious what pain you're trying to get away from and what joy are you trying to head towards. In your bad days, when you're unmotivated and feeling down, reading about the kind of man that you wish to be helps a ton. I'm going to be honest with you, quitting instant gratification is just one half of the equation, but that alone is not enough. If you just quit everything but then didn't take any action at all, that would just be pointless. What you need instead is an alternate source of dopamine. You need some purpose, some meaning, and some work. What I recommend is making a deal with yourself. What I'm going to say next is going to sound a bit strange, but just hear me out. I want you to actually talk to yourself as if you were talking to someone you love and care for and someone you are responsible for helping. Tell yourself that, hey man, we have been living life hedonistically for quite a while and we're not feeling too great. So we got to make some changes, bro. Then ask yourself, what are the few changes that you are willing to make? Can we start by just reading for a couple of minutes and getting a short workout in? It's almost like you are negotiating with yourself in a gentle and uplifting fashion. You have to realize where the inner you is currently. If the inner you is currently just used to doom scrolling for 8 hours a day and doing nothing productive at all, then don't ask him to go read an entire chapter of a book tomorrow or hit an hour-long workout. Instead, ask him what is the bare minimum that he is willing to do tomorrow such that his life is better than it is today. And the answer could be something very unimpressive. When I first started my self-improvement journey, I was only willing to study for 30 minutes and just do some push-ups. Committing to anything more than that made the inner Jibreel anxious, more likely to procrastinate, and just quit everything and go back to my old ways. But eventually, the inner me got stronger and could carry more load. And that 30 minutes of work progressed to around 5 hours of work. And those couple of push-ups changed to hour-long sparring sessions. But I only got there by being kind to myself and not just bashing myself for not living up to some arbitrary standard. The niche of productivity is just a fast-moving niche, and you see all these people out there accomplish so many cool things at such a young age. So I'm not gonna lie, it can get overwhelming at times. What I would recommend is just close your eyes, hush out the noise, just wear blinders and focus on nothing but being better than you were yesterday. Because it should never be about you versus someone else, you versus Alex Hormozi, or you versus Hamza, or you versus Ali Abdal. No, it will always and always be who you were yesterday versus who you are today. It's you versus you. As always, in case no one has told you this today, I am rooting for you.